Hi everyone, this is Dioki. Today, we're going to learn about the catch and recovery in freestyle. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. I truly appreciate your support. Liked and subscribed show your love, and remember subscribing is completely free, so don't just subscribe to my channel, go support other awesome creators too. If you think this video is helpful, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you could share this video with your swim friends, I'd really appreciate it. Alright, let's get started. In today's lesson, we're going to learn about the catch and recovery in freestyle. From this point on, we're moving into slightly more advanced swimming techniques. But if you followed along and built a solid foundation with me, I believe you'll be able to handle these advanced techniques without much trouble. So please don't skip any steps. Take your time and do your best to build a strong foundation in every stage. If your foundation is strong, you'll be able to reach a higher level in your swimming journey. Alright, so today we're going to take a look at the catch and recovery in freestyle. Personally, I found this to be one of the trickiest parts when I was learning. Why? Let me explain. That's because you need to match the angle of your right and left arms, the angle of your wrist and elbow, and even how high you lift your arms. Swimming should be symmetrical. That's what makes your form look smooth and beautiful. But when your stroke isn't symmetrical, your swimming starts to look awkward. Exactly, and that's why it was so tricky for me when I was practicing. But as I kept practicing this way, I discovered a method that helped me get through it more smoothly. So today, I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Try it out for yourselves and make sure to polish your freestyle catch and recovery so they look smooth and clean. Let's start by learning about the catch. First, take a look at this from the side view. Up until now, we've been practicing with our arms fully extended. Since we've been practicing with straight arms, that's how the pulling motion turns out, right? If you try the pulling motion while standing, your arm naturally traces a half circle. As you can see, the motion looks like a half circle or even a U shape. So when you pull your arm underwater, if you pull to here, your force goes in this direction. But if you pull only to this point, then your force goes that way instead. The direction of your force depends on how you move your arm through the water. So the real question is, where does your propulsion actually come from? It's when your arm pushes backward, that's where you generate the most propulsion. At that point, your arm isn't really pushing you forward. It's just helping you stay afloat. But swimming is a timed sport. It's all about moving forward faster. So what do we do about that? Right here, I bend my elbow, folding it early, right at the front. That's what I mean when I say, bend your elbow. By bending your elbow, you reduce the amount of force going downward, and instead, you can push straight back right away. Pulling with a bent arm gives you much more power than pulling with a straight arm. Now take a look. When you try to pull someone toward you, you get much more power by bending your elbow than by pulling with a straight arm. It's the same principle in swimming. That's why you bend your elbow and push straight back right away. Now let's take a look from the front. My arm is extended and I slightly bend my elbow downward, just a little. Then just follow your center line and extend your arm straight back. Alright, this is the first method. Let's take another look. Here, you slightly bend your elbow and then push straight back just like that. Don't cross your center line, don't pull inward, and don't swing too far outward either. Just follow your center line and push straight back. So that's the first method. Now let's move on to the second one. First, extend your arm forward. Next, I bend my elbow. Then as I push back, I bend it again, pulling the water in before extending my arm backward. If you watch competitive swimmers, many of them do it this way. So, why is that? At this point, you're catching the most water. Pulling it straight back gives you maximum grip on the water. But if you bend your arm again while pulling, some of the water will escape, right? Just a little, since you've changed the angle slightly. But this way, I can apply even more power. Because I can apply more power, I bend my arm again before pushing it back. This is something you can choose based on your preference. Alright, let's sum it up. From here, you can either push straight back, or you can bend your arm again and then gently push it back. As you keep swimming over time, you'll start to feel the water better. These are the two methods I will teach you for the catch today. Alright, now let's learn about the arm recovery in freestyle. Now I pull the water, just like this. From the elbow to the hand, that's your forearm. You pull using your forearm. You bend your forearm and pull the water, then push straight back along your center line. That's right, isn't it? Now push all the way through to the back like this, and so far, we've been recovering with a straight arm to the front. And where did I say your hand should face? That's right, the back of your hand should face forward. So why is that? When the back of your hand is facing forward and you bend your elbow, your arm forms a shape like a seagull. But if your hand turns so that the edge is facing forward, your whole hand ends up pointing forward. If your palm is facing forward and you bend your elbow, it ends up looking like this. That's why I always say, in freestyle, make sure the back of your hand faces forward. If you've practiced keeping your hand flat and facing forward, you'll have a much better chance of showing a clean recovery. Got it? If you watch the video slowly and carefully, you'll see there's a reason behind everything. Building a strong foundation is what really matters. Everything we've done so far is connected and leads to advanced swimming. So if you've rushed through the basics, moving on to advanced techniques will be difficult. Let me share something a bit different. When I coach swimmers who've already learned all 4 strokes, I always start from the very beginning, and that goes for both kids and adults. But sometimes, when I try to go back to the basics, some people get upset. They say, why are we starting over with freestyle kicking? I've already learned butterfly, backstroke,
Back then I just
breaststroke,
guided them
and
through
freestyle
it
without much explanation. I led them firmly. After a while, I figured out a better way. I started saying, you can choose. I said, if you continue like this, you won't be able to move on to advanced swimming. So either start over from the beginning or keep going as you are. It's up to you. When I gave them the choice, some decided to keep going, while others said, I'll go back to the beginning, and sat down to start again with kicking. So, what was the result? The ones who sat down and started with kicking, after just a month or two, their skills improved dramatically. Yes, that's the foundation, right? Swimming is all about building a solid foundation. Alright, let's go over it one more time. Now I pulled my arm, bent it slightly, and extended it backward. And as I rotated my arm, the back of my hand came forward. The back of your hand goes in first. Then relax from the elbow to the hand, just like this. That way, your arm enters smoothly. Make sense? That's the simple version. But to explain it in more detail, our hands are like the oars of a boat. Just like rowing an oar, that's how we move forward in the water. So your hand acts like the oar, you slightly bend your elbow, catch the water, and push it backward. But if your hand moves like this, it's like the oar loops around like this. After pushing the water back, if you extend your arm straight, it swings around in a wide arc. But with recovery, your hand moves forward in a straight line. You see the difference? Got it? The point is, Your hand moves you forward much faster when it follows a straight path rather than spinning around in a curve. So to bring the arm forward quickly, the first move is the arm recovery. Then comes the second step. What is it? It helps you conserve energy as well. When you relax from your elbow to your hand, you can save energy, right? After pushing all the way back, you relax from your elbow to your hand as you rotate your arm forward. You lift only your shoulder and elbow to move your hand forward. That way, you can save energy from your elbow to your hand. Yep, those are the two main reasons why we use arm recovery. Let's break it down. We bend the elbow to move the hand forward more quickly. And it's also to save energy. When you save energy, you can use that power to pull even stronger. Alright, let's put it all together now. I slightly bend my elbow, pull straight through, and push all the way back. Make sure your hand doesn't come forward with the edge facing first like this. You need to lift your shoulder. You need to lift both your shoulder and your elbow. You need to practice pulling forward while lifting your shoulder and elbow high. Let's take a look from the side. I bend slightly and pull, and as I pull, I open up my shoulder. That way, your hand doesn't just swing forward wildly. I told you, lift your shoulder and elbow. Your arm should come forward like this, okay? It shouldn't just fly forward like this. Instead of letting your hand fly forward, lift your shoulder and elbow high and move your arm straight forward. Then you reach straight forward and extend your hand far out into the water. Don't stab the water too close to your head, and don't reach too far either. So where should you aim? Right around the wrist of your opposite hand. If you reach around the wrist of your opposite hand, that's the proper spot to aim for. But the way I used to enter the water was with my thumb and index finger going in first like this. When you enter like this, you end up rotating your arm and pulling in an S shape. That was the old method. Nowadays, we go straight in and pull right away. And where should your hand enter the water? Right near the wrist of your opposite arm. Even if you do it this way, sometimes your form can still look a bit off. That's when your arms cross and form an X shape. Some swimmers tend to swim in an X pattern like that. And what else happens? Some swimmers also reach out to the side like this. To the side, and again to the side. So we need to set a clear reference point for your fingertips. Your hand should enter the water somewhere between your shoulder line and the top of your head. If your hand enters between your shoulder line and the top of your head, your form will look good. So don't let your arms spread too wide and don't cross them into an X shape either. Got it? Let's take another look. From here, I pull slightly and push all the way through. As I push, I rotate my shoulder just a bit. That's one. Now some people tend to over-rotate and roll too far back. Some people also tend to flare their arms out to the side from this position. Always push straight back in a straight line all the way through. And remember, I told you to lift your shoulder and elbow. Your hand shouldn't come forward like this. Lift your shoulder and elbow high. From the side, it should look like this, with the back of your hand slightly facing forward. If your hand folds too much, the form won't look good. It's okay if your hand opens up a little. I like to keep about a 90-degree angle, like a seagull shape. Keep the angle around here and move your arm straight forward from there. Don't let your hand swing in like this. Lift your shoulder to bring your arm forward. Next, I rotate slightly and push my hand into the water straight through from the wrist. Alright, I've just explained everything using one arm. So what happens when you use both arms? You will need to rotate your shoulders back and forth. This back and forth shoulder movement is called rolling in swimming. Alright, take a look. Even when you're swimming with straight arms, I told you, you shouldn't move like this. I told you to open up your shoulder as you pull, and it's the same here. From here, you bend your arm, pull, and rotate your shoulder as you go. As you pull your arm, you rotate your shoulder, that's 1. Then you lift your shoulder, that's 2. Then push your hand into the water around the wrist area, that's 3. And again, 1, 2. 3. Now doing this at home can be really tough. After just a few tries, your shoulders will probably start to hurt. So how do we do it without pain? So in the pool, submerge your shoulders in the water and practice while watching your hand the whole time. You can just do it in place, that's totally fine. You can also practice while walking forward in the water. Just like this, you walk forward while practicing. Once you've got these segmented movements down, now try to connect them together. Let's take a look. You need to use your shoulders. As you pull, rotate your shoulder. Then lift your shoulder and elbow so that the back of your hand faces slightly forward. You enter the water near the wrist of your opposite arm, then pull. As you do that, you slightly bend the opposite arm and push all the way through. Now, if you practice arm recovery like this while walking in the water, then your arm movements will look really beautiful when you swim freestyle. The more you practice this, the better. When you're swimming, it's hard to see your own form, so you need to practice enough while watching your movements carefully. That's why you walk in the water with your shoulders submerged, checking everything, your shoulder angle, elbow angle, and arm position as you go. While swimming, you're too busy breathing and kicking, so you don't really know what your form looks like. That's why you should first focus on practicing your arms intensively until it becomes natural enough that you don't have to think about it. Then, once you add the kicking and breathing to the arm movement, you'll find that it all starts to come together. So practicing this while walking or standing in place, the more you do it, the more effective it will be. Please make sure to remember this. And finally, let's go over some important reminders one more time. Don't let your hand come too far inside or too far outside. Extend it straight back along your center line. And remember to rotate your shoulder as you do it, alright? But going too far back Or opening up your arm too early without fully extending, that's not good technique. You need to stretch it straight back, all the way. And remember to lift your shoulder and elbow. And as you bring your arm forward and enter the water, don't cross over into an X shape or extend too far to the side. Place your hand into the water between your shoulder and the top of your head, and the fingertips should enter near the wrist of your opposite arm, right? Makes sense? Alright, that's it for today. Let's wrap it up here. Everyone, always enjoy your swimming and stay happy in the water. Thank you.